So one of the reasons that Tim Berners-Lee was always so passionate about the web and bringing it forward was as a place where genuinely participative conversations could be had. You know, a democratic forum was very much how he saw it, without huge amounts of barrier to individuals to actually present and get involved. But of course, anything like the web at web scale can have all sorts of structures superimposed on it. So if we take a well-known example like Wikipedia, which is of course a fantastic construct built out of the common knowledge of huge numbers of contributors, the actual way in which it's organized and editorial authority is managed is actually in some respects quite hierarchical. So you have to have been an author to become an editor, you have to be a certain sort of editor in good standing to become a major area organizer. So structures will often emerge out of the web that suit a particular problem and context. And when people talk about using the web as a democratic platform, the obvious point is that, well, yes, the great thing about it, it is universal, it is freely available, at least in terms of the standards we use, and it is a place where you could bring huge numbers of people together to have conversations around laws, particular attitudes to topics, the kind of participation that politicians will always talk about. We want a more participative democracy. We want people more engaged. Of course, careful what you wish for. I mean, the web can clearly bring hundreds of thousands of individual voices to the attention of the political class, and they've got to work out what to do with it. But from my point of view, that has to be the right way around, that we give people a voice, that whole notion of the power of open that the web represents, open data, open standards, open licenses, open participation, leads to open innovation. And if we're going to make anything of the future of humanity, it's about being able to innovate, innovate, innovate. And I regard democratic engagement as just such an example. Modern democratic governments have no choice but to embrace the web. It gives them access to their electorate, it allows them to deliver services more effectively, it allows them to deliver their own messaging more effectively. So there's no question that democratic governments have to embrace the web. And ultimately, the public sector is turning out to be a revolutionary class when it comes to some aspects of the web. And so the whole move towards open data has been led by governments rather than simply being responsive to developments in the technology. So one of the reasons that I've become so passionate about the role of open data is that when governments put their data online, it is a way in which certain sorts of behaviour are held accountable. So we've seen spending data published by the British government on the web, what individual departments spend, what local authorities spend, and that's enabled people to look at that and understand what the various rates of expenditure are. When the NHS published the infection rates in hospitals online, it allowed us to very quickly see there was a real league table and some were not doing anything like as good as others. That's allowed the whole system to get better as people have started to share best practice. So I do believe that data as a platform for open government is a really powerful and potentially disruptive change, and it's allowed to happen because of the technology that is the web. When this information was difficult to find, gather, search and publish, none of this could have happened.